The Snurks is a prime example of why you shouldn't judge something by its cover or name. On the surface it seems like a throwaway kids film, especially with a title like The Snurks, but it's actually an exploration of free will versus determinism, and the method it uses to portray this struggle is both quite understandable and creative. When the film opens, we are introduced to our cast of characters who are cartoon stars in a long-running animated program that's well over 200 episodes in. The characters trapped in this universe are fairly one-dimensional. There's the cowardly nerd, there's his beefy friend who's always loyal and brave, but not exactly smart. There's the girl princess who wants to defy her father and become something more, and there are the designated bad guys, a group of 3 dudes simply called the Snurks. The cartoony antics that ensue are incredibly predictable and trite, but that seems to be the point. The characters have hints at character development, but because the show needs to keep running, they can never reach their potential as characters, and things need to stay to status quo, so the character dynamics never change. We also get a glimpse of the creator and lead writer for the cartoon show running out of ideas very blatantly. He enters his study and tries and fails to come up with anything that would create an interesting episode 234. It sets up a situation that's easily understandable for both adults and children by introducing characters with small, believable archetypes and then showing how those characters came to be in such a fashion through their creator, who needs to keep the show going at all costs. Things stay in this designated rut, and the characters never change or develop until spontaneously one day, the source of light for all of their kingdom, the Galamite, is stolen by an otherworldly force. This otherworldly force then brings our characters somewhere entirely different. It brings them to the real world, and when it brings them to the real world, it gives them the power of free will, with which they can actually enact the character development that the show had only been hinting at for so long. The princess finally gets to fulfill her action hero fantasies. The Snurks rise up to become something more than just generic bad guys, and the cowardly inventor finally learns to find his bravery. The film has a very optimistic outlook on the idea of free will, where characters generally make choices that better themselves as people. They become generally more sympathetic, break out of their rut, and grow. It's a process that happens naturally and is not so subtly hinted at when the characters argue about their status in life and how they wish to change it. Given free will, the generic trio of bad guys, the Snurks, decide that they want to use their gifts for good. Their intelligence, conniving, bravery, and creativity suddenly turns very useful when it's time to save the day. They seem to be mostly unaware of these changes taking place until they confront their creator directly, where their writer and creator does confirm that they did not have free will previously, and everything they had done was determined by his hand. After the creator bluntly tells them that the fact that they're making their own decisions shouldn't be possible, he then comes to the conclusion that being transported to this world gave them the power of free will, and now they could choose to be who they wanted to be. There are a few scenes that make excellent dramatic use of this effect, where one of the characters claims they're aware they're dumb, they were made that way, and they hate that they're dumb. But now that they have free will, they can finally express that they're proud to have a smart individual as a friend, and call them out on their cowardice. These are things that could not happen in their original world, as the cartoon series needed to have an unchanged character dynamic so it could keep running. There's a catastrophe that ultimately brings them all together, and this is where the film's optimism towards free will is in full effect. The Snurks suddenly act out their heroic tendencies and desires. The cowardly inventor suddenly finds his courage to protect his friends. And just in general, having the ability to make choices made everyone a better person and broke them out of their shell. Given free will and the power to choose to change into a better person, ultimately all of these cartoon characters did change into better people and grow, becoming more emotionally fleshed out and sympathetic, compassionate, heroic, and just generally showing what good can come from people when they make the right choices. While their free will was initially thought to only last while they were in our world, when they return to their cartoon universe, they exhibit their ability to make choices, and their ability to make choices affects those around them, sending ripples throughout the world and changing things for the better by letting characters grow, and become real people. I'm not quite sure what I expected when I purchased and started watching the Snurks for about $1, but I didn't expect a film where cartoon characters broke into reality and broke out of their shell and changed into better people using the power of free will, which simultaneously acts as a love letter to the idea of free will over determinism. It's a thoroughly creative and heartfelt film, and I haven't ever seen anything quite like it. I'm very proud that the people who made this went out there and put themselves at such a risk to make something so unusual, and I'm glad I saw it.
I'm sorry about all this, Boo. I know that you wanted to stay where you would have been free.
But we are. Look around you. Snurks getting medals. Atlanta standing up to her father. Me getting a medal. Something's changed.